Any good stories from the road?
Pipe up.
I wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more out of our punter.
I'm starting to puke.
It makes my stomach hurt.
I thought he was going to die.
I'm starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
He's on the probiotics.
Is Georgia playing the 1985 Bears this weekend or what?
A lot of Todd talk.
Rat poison proof.
They're mongeese.
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that. The hunting that we do will be done from us going the other direction.
Hey, y'all. Welcome into the Georgia Show. I'm Wes Blankenship. This is Jake Rowe, Palmer Toms. Guys, good to see you again. Had a few days out. Went to go see a mouse down in Florida, and now I'm back somehow.
And there's nothing to talk about.
A few dollars to my name. I don't know how that happened, but here we are.
And there's plenty to talk about, like Palmer just said.
I said there's nothing to talk about. It's the off season. It's the off season. There can't be.
You said what you said, but I heard something different.
Yeah, it's a crazy few days, to say the least. Let's start with AD Mitchell. Let's not waste any time, guys. He's in the portal. We heard that it might happen, and it did happen today. And Jake Rowe, I'd like to give you the floor to just give us the facts. Palmer, jump in here. Tell us what you know about what led to this decision for AD Mitchell, and we can get into all the other good stuff in a moment.
Opportunity, chance to, make more in NIL. I think a chance to kind of branch out, maybe an opportunity to get closer to home. USC's kind of involved in this. It's going to sting, man. I understand there are a lot of Georgia fans that are simultaneously saying we're fine while also being really mad at AD Mitchell, and I get why they are really mad at AD. I can't say I'd do anything different if I was 20 years old. I can't. I mean, I'd probably chase the money. But ultimately, and listen, I'm not trying to be the Dave Biddle of the world and be. I have no problem with it. I have zero problem with the kid moving on to better his situation, doing what he feels like he needs to do. Not only are those choices really important, but I think making that mistake is really important. If you're good enough, you'll outplay it. More often than not, if you're good enough, you'll outplay a mistake like that. If you made a mistake, and he may make the right decision. Georgia's not the perfect place for everybody. And listen, we can give our man Dana Point over at DawgsHQ all the flack we want. He's right about one thing. Georgia's going to run a lot of 12 personnel, and it's going to function as 11 personnel because Brock Bowers is going to be in there. Until number 19's gone, the Bulldogs are going to lean on him, and the receivers are going to kind of feel it. They got two guys to come in. I don't think they got that. They did not. I will say this. They did not get those two wide receivers with the knowledge that AD Mitchell was walking out the door. Anybody reporting that does not know what happened here. Georgia, this is a situation where there was some back channeling going on. I don't necessarily know that it was tampering. I think there were some people, people of people type deals. And ultimately what it came down to was AD felt like he got a better opportunity. I'm still every time I see that picture and I think of that Apple Watch right there that he's wearing, it's just incredible. But I
didn't notice that until it was pointed out on Twitter today.
Yeah, I saw it like right after it had happened, like the day after Georgia beat Ohio State. I saw it then, and then I've kind of kept an eye on it every time I've seen it since. But listen, this is a situation where AD picked kind of the best situation for him. It does hurt his legacy as a Georgia fan, as a Georgia Bulldog, because all of a sudden there's a portion of the fan base, whether it's 50%, whether it's 75%, I don't know, that is not going to view AD Mitchell as a damn good dog. Okay. And that's just the way it's going to be. Those folks are going to feel that way no matter what. But I tell you what, there are a lot of players on that football team and that were on that team last year and they're on this team this year. They're going to consider AD Mitchell a damn good dog. And I think that's all that matters to AD Mitchell. But I do expect him to end up at Texas. This is a situation where rumors picked up, they died down, they picked back up with a vengeance, and this is where we're at now. And hopefully Roos didn't just stroke out on us. I saw that camera just fall over. Hopefully he's doing okay. But we broke it. The news that he was actually transferring, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll add to that, and Jake said it very well, two things can be true at the same time. Yes, it does suck that if you're a Georgia fan, it sucks that AD Mitchell is not going to be suited up in Athens next year. I think there's a strong argument to be made that he was the best wide receiver in the Kirby Smart era, not named George Pickens. I mean, I don't know how much pushback I would get to that from y'all, but I feel that way. And what he's done.
I'll say this, Palmer, terms relative. That terms, I mean, he may be the most talented, but I mean, Ladd's more productive. Some other guys.
George Pickens may have been the most talented.
Yeah. I'm just saying. He said other than George Pickens.
Oh, other than Pickens. I'm sorry.
So other than Pickens, he's the most talented guy. But Riley Ridley and Javon Wims. I think those guys put up more productive seasons. Nobody made a bigger plays and bigger moments though than AD.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my next point is it sucks that when you watch those as a Georgia fan, you'll always think, oh, well, AD Mitchell didn't finish out his career here. Now, I do think that what's happened has happened. Those plays are a huge part of Georgia football history, and there's no removing them from history, whether he ended his career at Georgia or not. No matter how he ended his career, he will always be a big part of Georgia football. So that can be true. But at the same time, Georgia's going to be fine. Georgia is, and I think people understand that, but Georgia is going to be fine. It needs to be said a million times here. They've still got an incredibly talented wide receiver in Ladd McConkey that you just named that might have, you put up the argument that he might be a better receiver, in the relative terms of best receiver in Kirby Smart era than AD Mitchell. They're still bringing in two really talented players that fans were really excited about. And this coaching staff was really excited about when they signed them in December. They've still got a guys named Dylan Bell and Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint that were huge in playing a part of this Georgia offense when AD Mitchell was not a part of it. And then, oh, by the way, they've still got the best player in college football named Brock Bowers. I mean, it's a part of who Georgia is right now is that tight end position. And this offense, runs through that tight end position in many ways. And so, yes, I can understand. It sucks that AD Mitchell is not going to be at Georgia, but Georgia is also going to be fine.
One of the fastest people to ever take a piece standing up, Arian Smith. So
exactly, yeah.
My thing is, okay, I get it. I mean, I do. I understand. I said on the board, look, I'm not asking anybody to build a statue to AD Mitchell, but at the same time, nobody's saying, FTMF about Ra Thomas and Dominic Lovett being on the team. I mean, and it's clear that they would have both had a very defined role had they stayed at their respective schools.
Yeah.
Nobody.
If you're going to call AD Mitchell a mercenary, then what's stopping Ra Thomas and Dominic Lovett from being mercenaries just because they transfer in? This is college football now. This is how it works. You're going to have to do some mental gymnastics to figure out how you feel about certain guys' legacies moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a Bulldog from years past. I'm going to describe his career. I want you to tell me if you think he's a damn good dog or not. He won a national championship, played in a couple other ones, made it to New York as a Heisman finalist. He had an opportunity to pursue financial riches that players before him did not have the opportunity to pursue. It was a whole new thing getting to leave at this point in your college career and going to make money, and other guys couldn't do it. And he made the decision to go do it and get paid because he felt like it could be a blessing and a windfall for his family. So he decided to go do this thing and leave Georgia. Maybe he wanted to come back. Maybe the opportunity was there for him to do it, but he signed some paperwork that didn't let him do it. And he didn't get to return to Georgia, but he did go make money and he left the Dogs early. And he is clearly, by today's standards, not a damn good dog, but his name is Herschel Walker. And AD Mitchell is now just only taking the opportunity that players have to take. It is a new era of college football. In 20 years, you're going to have players that show up at Georgia or Texas or Bama or wherever. They're going to make huge plays for their schools. They might get statues made for them. They might win Heisman trophies. And then they might decide to take an NIL deal and go to a different school, and no one's going to bat an eyelash about it. But this is what A.D. Mitchell's doing now. And I think he's brought home the new normal. And I hate that cliche term just as much as everyone else does for the past couple years, but that's what it is in college football. This is just how it works. And you're going to have to decide what you think about players' legacies. For me, I don't think you can watch a highlight reel of Georgia winning the national championship. And Palmer, you pointed it out on our board. These catches that Mitchell made are going to be playing in perpetuity now against Ohio State, the one he made against Bama. And he's part of the story, whether you like it or not. And he made some individual plays in a team game. He made some really great individual plays in a team game. He's making an individual choice, but this is still the team that you love. It's Georgia. So I understand that, you're not one of us anymore. We're going to turn our backs on you because you're just chasing a bag, whether it's for football purposes, his family, financial, or all the above, whatever it is. This is where we're at in college football. And I think that's part of the sting, is watching the sport change so much. And now it's directly affecting one of the players that's made so many great plays for Georgia.
There's some talk over here in the comments about false equivalency stuff, and I just have to point this out. Yeah, no two situations are exactly equal. Okay, we get that. But right now, sophomores or freshmen can go do and earn and get guarantees now that at one point they couldn't do it until they were juniors. And I think that's a big distinction to make here. I also think it's important to point out that, I think there's so many people that are taking so many liberties, like exactly what happened and in what order and in what way and how hard it was. I mean, guys, we've got to try, okay, just for a second, to take a little bit of the emotion out of it. Now take the emotion out of it and you get this. Georgia's leading receiver came back, and the guy that was banged up all year, and they did just fine without, left. I still think Georgia, I believe, as Aaron Murray said on Twitter today, good things happen when AD's on the field. Okay, they do. So Georgia's going to miss that. They got Ra Thomas, and they got Dominic Lovett to kind of make up for that. They got a lot of guys coming up. Dylan Bell's going to be a different player, all of that stuff. But, no two situations are the same, but a guy trying to better his situation after helping a team, after giving it all to his team. And again, this is all anybody really should need to know, but it's going to get glossed over by everybody, is that Lab McConkey and Stetson Bennett and Brock Bowers and Tate Ratledge and Xavier Truss, we'll just keep naming names, Jalen Carter, all of them, they consider that cat right there on that screen a damn good dog. And that's, your opinion doesn't matter compared to theirs. And I'm really sorry about that, but it doesn't matter because
don't apologize, Jake. I think we're in a time now where, like, if you have a differing opinion, that you have to feel like you need to apologize on the internet. And I just don't. Who cares?
You're
totally right. This is an opinion that AD is not going to care about one way or another.
If I went and talked to Stetson Bennett right now, and I said, man, I think AD Mitchell's legacy may be a little bit tarnished from transferring out of Georgia, Stetson Bennett would probably think I'm being too harsh. And because of the fact that those players, there's a brotherhood, there's a connection. They're in his corner. They want him to go make money. They want him to do well after. That's kind of what matters. Is the players. And Greg Lawson, I said the same thing. Our opinion doesn't, of exactly what it doesn't really ultimately matter. It matters the guys who played for Georgia are going to accept this guy, and that's what matters.
I want to be clear, though, on the rules. Can Ra Thomas and Dominic Lovett now be damn good dogs? Is that allowed under the new rules that we're establishing? I don't know. I'm unclear.
So
it really is.
Good dog debate is so funny to me.
Are we damn good dogs?
They're just good dogs. They're just dogs. It's so funny to me because it's like totally made up on the internet, subjective. You're a DGD, but all it takes for you to lose your DGD card after making some DGD caliber plays, is taking advantage of totally legal opportunities in an unregulated industry right now in college football. Sorry, no longer a DGD. Hand your card in at the door. See ya.
Hey, we'll hand it to Ra-Ra.
Hand your card to Smoke Bowie as he walks out the door. As he walks in and you walk out.
I understand where y'all are
Takeaway.
coming from as fans. Me having my stance on this guy, us having our stances individually as people who work here at DawgsHQ. We know where y'all are coming from. It hurts to see your guy leave, especially after he's made some really big plays. But one thing I'm not going to stand for is comparing AD's career to Jermaine Burton's. It's just, you want to talk about apples and oranges. That to me is a bowl of fruit right there.
No doubt. And Palmer hit the nail on the head. Unlike when Jermaine Burton left, and I wrote this, Georgia's not in the same situation now. Georgia is in much better situation. Jermaine left, it was like, you thought Georgia had to go to the portal. Well, Georgia's already went to the portal. And they got it fixed before it even happened, before they even knew it was going to happen. And that's a big part of it.
And I was going to ask y'all this. I don't remember, did the players come out and support Jermaine Burton's decision on social media in the same way that they've done with ADs? Because I've seen a lot of player support, and I don't necessarily remember that standing out last year.
I don't remember. It's a totally different situation, though. I mean, Jermaine tried to get on the field, wasn't able to stay on the field. AD just wasn't going to crack the lineup until that ankle was better this year. But very clearly to me last season, I saw Ladd McConkey just outperforming Jermaine Burton. And I think if you want to look at the injury situation, ADs to me throughout the year felt more like Pickens did last year, where he just couldn't get on the field at all.
Yeah. I think this, Wes, this comment right here kind of nails it. CBS 88, can't blame AD for taking advantage of the system he didn't create. Listen, I feel where you're coming from right there. That to me is a big comment, because I feel the same way about opt-outs. Players opting out of bowl games is like, listen, I got no problem if you do it. Okay, I'm not going to beat you up if you do it. But I have a lot of respect for those guys who decide to stick it out and do the team thing and stay locked in and go have that week with their guys and finish it out. And I think I understand the same thing. And I think I would probably agree with that on AD. I don't have a big problem with it. I think this is a loss for Georgia, but I don't have a big problem with him doing that. And we can poke fun about damn good dog and all that stuff. It's fun. I mean, this really is all in good fun. We're not, we're talking about a game here. We're not trying to beat anybody over the head with it. But this is not the same, like Wes said. This is a guy who helped Georgia win 2 national championships, made 2 game-winning catches. The rumors are already starting to trickle out. Boy, you didn't hear them before he transferred, but now you're starting to hear there's plenty of buzz to suggest that he just sat out the season and didn't play until it was time to.
That's a new one to me.
To get some attention.
I've heard that one.
That one's out there now. So. Guys, Kirby Smart is not allowing that to happen. It's not the culture. It's not the connection. You can't preach all that and let that happen. We need to get off that. It's not as serious as you're making it. Let the kid move on. He'll be invited back. He'll be able to come back to practices. He'll probably be celebrated by the national championship celebrations 10, 20 years from now, and everything will be fine. I won't talk to my kids about AD's legacy at Georgia, and you probably won't either.
I want to shout out Robert over here, who says college players want to make $20 million a season like NFL players. I do too.
Me too, bro.
Me too.
If I could do it, I would.
I would walk around wiping people's butts.
I love this job, man. But you better believe if somebody came offering $20 million, I'm out the door, baby.
Yes.
Yeah. Y'all aren't making $20 million?
That Texas money just hits different, baby.
Y'all aren't making $20 million? Oh, I thought we all were.
Dude, if the United States government would pay me $20 million to ride around and help people change their flat tires, I would do it. I mean, there's not a whole lot I wouldn't do.
We know you love that.
Yeah,
In
100.
shorts in the cold.
In shorts in the cold.
Let's take a break. Let's take a breather. Let's just take a deep breath here. Whether you hate AD Mitchell's guts, you're just going to censor him out every time you show your kids a national championship highlight. You're going to send it off to the Blockbuster or the Kinko's or wherever. You're going to have them take that film and just put a giant emoji over AD Mitchell's face and jersey and number because you're going to erase him from history. Or you love him and appreciate him. You think he's a DGD. It doesn't matter because the people at Breaking T think that you are all DGDs. And you can take a look at the wares that they're peddling right here. You've got a national champions logo, the back-to-back. I don't know why, but I wasn't really a huge fan of the Indianapolis one, but this one looks pretty cool. The SoFi Stadium up top kind of looks like a stingray or something floating over these palm trees and back-to-back titles. You got undefeated, undisputed, undenied. Pretty solid right there with the date and the final score of the Natty. Never hunted, 15-0. Dogs back on top. I mean, just cycle through yourself and check out what your style is. They got something for the classic fan, the simple fan, someone that wants a modern logo, whatever you want. It's over at Breaking T, and the link, as always, is in the show description.
I like Craig Lawson asking, can I get a discount 5 jersey?
No, Craig Lawson, that's going to cost you in the new AD Mitchell NIL fund over at Texas or USC, wherever he ends up going.
Wes, I must say, and I think Jake would admit this. My ad read wasn't quite as good. It was half-hearted. It was a throw in there of you need a t-shirt. Get a t-shirt.
I forgot about the West impression at the end of last show. I forgot about that.
It was half-hearted at best, I would say.
You know you need this tea, you want this tea. Get your Breaking Tea. It was something like that. It was
you need a new Georgia shirt. Go to Breaking Tea.
Simple.
So good.
Dylan Brooks, I know. What an idiot, man. AD Mitchell taking that money. Gosh.
I'm built different, man.
Can you believe it? All right. We're done. We're done with AD Mitchell. Let's talk about Stetson Bennett at the parade, guys, and everything that's happened after that.
I'm going to stand up for him too. Just so y'all know.
Good to move to something non-controversial now.
Yeah. I will stand for Stetson here too. Just you get yourselves prepared.
Yeah, I didn't really have a good read on this one. I was over at the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Epcot, just put my brain in a blender. So I really forgot. I think it gave me CTE. But everything that's happened since Stetson was on control of the aux cord in the car, and our guy Steak Shapiro getting into it with him on Twitter, and Stetson. The only place where Stetson missed in his tweet to Steak was he called him Mr. Medium Rare or something like that. He should have called him Well Done, man. If you really wanted to get after him and insult the guy, you should have called him Mr. Well Done. That was my only problem with Stetson defending himself on the internet.
I've got a really important question. Do we know if we have a Mr. Medium Rare on the board yet? Because that would be a great board.
Yeah, that'd be great. Somebody needs to lock that one in. We're talking to you, Uncle Glenn Hartley.
That'll be my burner.
Oh man, yeah. So listen, I was there. Palmer was there. All right. Stetson engaged for portions of the parade. In other portions of the parade, he was on his phone and he was kind of looking straight ahead. And he did kind of have a little bit of an attitude about him. It wasn't his best day. He wasn't as, super engaged, but I said it. I thought he was trying to soak it in. I thought he was trying, and I think that those comments, I think they were genuine. You think about it. You got one last ride in the Sanford Stadium with the 2022 team captains. I didn't think his comments were that bad. They were off, aloof a little bit, and he didn't want to be there. Somebody made him come talk there. I don't know. I mean, he didn't, listen, he drove by my family and my kids. He didn't gesture to them. All right. Kirby did. Mary Beth did. He didn't. I'm not going to hold that against him. at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter. It's just not a big deal. It's a parade, and there are some people that think Stetson should have sent him off better. There are some people that think Stetson should have just ridden down Lumpkin Street with 2 middle fingers in the air the entire time.
He's not Aaron Murray, guys. He
Yeah.
never has been.
He's not
No.
Jake Fromm. Yeah, I mean,
He's
not-
always been a little weird behind the mic. He's always been a little aloof.
He's always been real.
It's who
But
he
he's-
is.
But he's also got 2 national championships to speak for him.
And when he pointed, y'all, when he turned, when he's grabbing the mic and he's doing the whole thing, and it's very weird. And he does this whole, like, you know, are you entertained thing, like from Gladiator or whatever. He turns around, he looks at them and he points, and they all start laughing. Like he's just got him on a string. Like his whole team just starts laughing. So I don't know, man. They love him, and he's different. I don't think he loves talking to the media. I got to where I didn't even like talking to him anymore because I got so sick of hearing, what does it say about you and your story, and
Talk about your journey.
oh my God, are you freaking kidding me? Like, let's talk to him about his Culver's order or something. Let's do something different. Like, I mean, does he get the cheese curd? I don't know.
Nobody
But-
followed up with him, by the way, on that person in his Instagram DMs that tried to sell him an ostrich. No one ever, or a armadillo or whatever. We never got the follow through on that. That's the story America wanted to hear.
I'm very disappointed I didn't know about this because I think I probably would have chased it just as hard as I chased AD.
It was during spring practice, I'm pretty sure.
Somebody was trying to say, so, oh my God.
Was it an ostrich or a beaver, or it was some exotic animal?
Basically
I
the
know
same
that.
thing.
Yeah. It was definitely an exotic animal. We need to look back. I forgot about that, Wes.
my thought is that realistically, Stetson Bennett could have said literally anything he wanted, and it shouldn't matter at all. Who cares? The guy just won you 2 national championships. I mean,
Well, you don't want to say the kind of things that might get you shot if you walk into the lobby of an elementary school.
Well, look, I think it depends on the establishment now. I mean, I think he did have guaranteed free lunches and dinners and drinks anywhere in Athens, Georgia. Now, I think if you run like a Facebook blog or something and you have a couple kids and you're upset that Stetson Bennett didn't wink at him, then he might not get a free dinner at those establishments.
I'm betting Dad's going to want to stick around for that, and Mom's going to maybe have a problem. But that's neither here nor there.
Listen, and here's the thing. I'll tell you this. Everybody that I've seen complaining about this, I would be shocked to know that if they ran into Stetson Bennett in the airport, at the grocery store, that they wouldn't ask him for a photo. I don't know that anybody was that turned off by it. I mean, there was some, I understand. Listen, he didn't come across how you wanted him to, whatever. But I don't think that anybody would be that pissed off. I really don't.
Yeah, but look, Jake, that's the story of the internet, right? I mean, you have the wherewithal on the internet to cover every hot take talking point you want, to dress down a player that you don't like or disagree with. But hey, you see them and you have the opportunity to get that Instagram story polished off with a photo of the 2-time national champion. You're probably going to take it.
Dylan Brooks,
and that's
Dylan
kind of
Brooks.
been my whole
Dylan
of just
Brooks
watching from a
dropping
distance.
Another great
on some of
one
this
here.
stuff is just like the last couple of days is crazy to see Georgia fans go from winning these national titles to really starting to flirt with that E word that Kirby Smart warned everyone about with the entitlement and enjoying this stuff and soaking it all in. And obviously there's been a tragic story in the middle of all that. But as it pertains to the guys that won the game and these storylines here, they just seem so small to me, and it's fascinating. It's probably the most surprising development of this entire back-to-back national championship run is some of these things that Georgia fans are choosing to fixate on the internet.
It's the world we live in, man. We've
Yeah,
got
that's
too many
good.
different
That's
ways
good
to
time.
talk.
That's good times, right? Though, I mean,
Yeah.
like if these are the things you're worried about, that's what being on the mountaintop is, in my opinion. I mean, you're nitpicking at this point.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways to get into the public square. and vent that immediate frustration. There used to be a time, and I'm not trying to sit here in like the good old days. Listen, we're rapidly moving forward and adjusting and learning together.
We're not slowing down.
There was a time where I would watch that parade with my wife, and if my wife would have had a problem the way Stetson been act, she would have told me, and then she may have, went home, or let's go back to the time when she'd have had to do like a non-smartphone to call a friend, and she's like, "Hey, I got to tell you this real quick, and I got to save my minutes," that it would have been that way, but we would have had to wait, but now you could tweet immediately. You could tweet immediately after Stetson didn't look at your kid and wink at him, and smile, and say, you can live all your dreams, kid. Look at me. I don't know what they expected, but ultimately that you can react immediately, and that's a problem.
It was an armadillo.
It was an armadillo. We got to document this stuff for when they make the Netflix series, and they ask all of us for factual. They want to get the facts straight. They want to get the accuracy down, and if we had an ostrich in that film, it would have been dinged for being factually inaccurate.
Wes, we got to get that. It was an armadillo into the initial drop. I think we got to.
I'm going to go back to the lab, and I'll be working on a new drop.
Slice that one in. It was an armadillo.
It was an armadillo.
I sent y'all the desk story.
Hey, did you guys see the guy on the board yesterday? Let's stay on Palmer for a second. Did you guys see the guy on the board yesterday who said that whenever he looks at Palmer, he can't help but see the Charmin bear?
I didn't like that.
I didn't see it until my mom.
That bear's so precious.
I just think it's disturbing that they've got this commercial with bears talking about wiping their butts.
Yeah,
and apparently we learned from earlier on in the show that Jake Rowe would wipe them. Okay, there's a job. Would you wipe a bear's ass for $20 million a year?
1,000%.
1,000%.
Yes.
Naked, covered in honey.
All right. That's for our next show that the Jakes will start.
Naked, covered in honey.
Let's talk about this on 300. Jake Rowe, Jake Roos, you guys have dug into this thing. You have on 300 facts circulating through your brain even as you sleep. Tell the Georgia fans out there about the biggest developments in the on 300 and why it matters on the field.
Well, hey, I want to say something real quick. We're gonna have to revisit our stock ups. We nailed them, guys. How do we nail them like that? I don't know. How do we know?
Premonition. Profit.
Premonition.
We're really smart, guys. We're really smart
guys. Listen, I want to start with my guy, which is Gabe Harris. And I wrote about this. I've got kind of a lengthy thing about this from the rankings yesterday. If you want to come over, it's a plus article. And we'd love to have you guys subscribe. $29.99 until August 31st, 2023. That's basically comes out to like $4 a month. So come on over, read all the VIP stuff we got, or plus stuff that we've got, premium stuff. Everybody calls it something different, but we call it plus. Come see it all. We've got tons of it. Gabriel Harris. All right, this cat. Chad Simmons goes to see him, and obviously, that was a big part of why he rose up the rankings. The more I look at this, the more I think that Gabriel Harris is probably going to be the guy. I think he's going to be the Azeez Ojulari in this elite linebacker class. Woo. Because here's the deal. Azeez Ojulari came in the same class as Adam Anderson and Brenton Cox. And Adam Anderson did some good things for Georgia. And we're not going to talk about the off-field stuff. Brenton Cox ended up leaving. Azeez Ojulari, by the time it was all said and done, still to this day, best pass rusher of the Kirby Smart era, most productive pass rusher of the Kirby Smart era. I think that Gabriel Harris is going to kind of have that. He moves all the way up almost over 140 spots. Roos, is that right?
Yeah, I've got it right here. He moved up 145.
Yeah, 145 spots to just outside the top 100. And if you're looking at the consensus, I think he's inside the top 70 now. It has a chance to some other places bump him up to maybe get inside the top 60. Really like that kid. Think he's going to be a big time player. He's been around, like Ruth said, he's been around to a who's who of different programs. He's played at was it Thomas County Central?
Yep, Thomas County Central. He was at Valdosta, IMG. So yeah, he's been with the heavy hitters, man. He ain't playing bums.
Yeah, so like that kid a lot. I mean, I know that these other guys are going to like to get people that they talked about yesterday or a couple of days ago too, before the rankings come out.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the big takeaway obviously is that Georgia finishes with 4 5-stars in the class, where they had one kind of going into it, and that was Damon Wilson. Damon takes a slide in this one, but you see big rises from the other guys. Monroe Freeland up to number 7. You got Raylan Wilson up to number 18, and then Jordan Hall at number 13. You got to consider the fact, too, that Monroe Freeling now number 1 offensive lineman in the class, Jordan Hall number 2 defensive lineman in the class, Raylan Wilson number 1 inside linebacker in the class. I think that those are all huge things to think about when you're talking about, how do you continue a run like this? Well, it's with number 1 and number 2 players at their positions respectively. But
them dogs is hell.
Another one that I think people may gloss over, or a couple actually that I think people may gloss over, Pierce Spurlin. People had a lot of questions, I think, coming into his year about how he would respond, given that he was hurt, for most of his senior year. He didn't play. And he went to the All-Star game out there at San Antonio and really blew people away with his performance. It showed that he's not really lost a step and maybe even gained a couple. I mean, all the way up to number 73 in the nation, number 3 tight end for us over at On 3. And I think that that's pretty impressive. I mean, this was a kid who, you never know how that rust is going to affect somebody when they come back from something like a shoulder injury like he had. And I don't think he lost a step in the process. The other one that I think is sneaky is Jamal Merriweather out of Brunswick. This was a guy that I don't think, 2 months, like a month and a half ago, anybody in Georgia land really knew about. And this kid kind of comes out of nowhere, commits to Georgia, flips from UCF, locks it in 6'6", 285, and now all the way up to number 195 in the nation. And looking like a great late get for the Bulldogs in this class. In what's a stellar line class for them. I mean, you've got Bo Hewley. You've got Monroe Freeling, the number 1. You've got Josh Miller, who I like a lot. Kelton Smith made a gain in this on 300 as well. Jamal Merriweather, another guy with a gain. Bo Hewley falls out of the on 300. But overall, I think a really stellar offensive line class. And a lot of credit goes to one of the guys who actually just left Georgia's staff today, Eddie Gordon. Did a fantastic job for those guys on the recruiting front, really bridged the gap. And I sent an article to Palmer earlier today that I did with Monroe Freeling earlier last year. And
I used the quote and I linked it, so you should go check that out.
I'm not saying you didn't. I'm just saying that.
No. I'm just saying for folks that want to read that article. It is a plus article, so do subscribe, like Jake said earlier.
No, he said that that he's. He mentioned Eddie Gordon specifically as a guy who bridged the gap between Matt Luke and Stacy Searles. And they put that on a guy who was an off-field assistant, not a position coach at the time. I thought that was really impactful. So Eddie Gordon, Georgia will miss that guy. But shout out to Stacy Searles, man. Really comes in and knocks, I think, the offensive line class out of the ballpark. With a lot of people doubting his ability or questioning his ability, and people saying, how is this all going to shake out? I think Georgia really did well on the offensive front.
10 guys that are top, or 12 guys that are top 10 at their position. I mean, I think that's the way you continue to build a program.
We've got 2 awesome comments in here. Andy Stowe brings up how Monroe Freeling's ranking is very different than the other places. I can tell you this. I've known Jerry Hamilton and Charles Power for a long time. They do an incredible job of like evaluating based on technical skill and things like that, but they are also incredibly technical in the way that they evaluate guys. And the fact that Monroe Freeling is extremely long, he's extremely flexible, and he's extremely athletic. Those are just like 2 like like foothold. Those are 2 foothold types of traits that you really need to be an offensive lineman, and then you add that with 6'7", 290 something pounds that he's carrying really well. He's going to be a tremendous one. The other one I want to look at is Craig Lawson here.
Greg Lawson's
We
been
never
on
give
one,
him the
man.
damn good dog status. We don't have to worry about taking it away.
Yeah. No, Jake, I think you made a great point, though. And you wrote it in that article. You said, Monroe Freeling, I think what's so impressive about him is, man, he does not look like he's 290 pounds. He's carrying
260-pound kid.
he's carrying that incredibly well. That kid's going to be able to probably play at like 325, no problem.
Yeah. Broderick Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, Broderick Jones is out there 310, 315 pounds.
Lean.
And lean. I'm talking about like,
Looks like an
he
NBA
looks like a
power
tight
forward.
end. I mean, yeah, he looks like a tight end.
Do y'all think Monroe has a chance to compete for a starting job next year? I mean, on campus this spring, there's 2 tackle spots open. You got to think Amarius Mims is going to take one of them, but I mean, there's not a ton of guys that are just shoe-ins right there.
It's not.
Ernest Green is coming off of an injury. He's
Part
of the competition.
Right yeah.
I don't think it's impossible. I think that with Monroe, the reality is I would be shocked if he's not a rotational player.
I can't, guys. I can't screen share anything without these toenail fungus ads. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I've been looking at him. I'm not gonna lie. I may have a nightmare or two about
I think you might need to zoom your screen a little, Wes. Maybe
there's some good one-liners.
These are not targeted ads. I'll have you know.
There's a with Monroe Freeling though. I do think there's a big if there, and the if is, can he get bigger? Can he get stronger? Because that's what he needs to do. And you got to learn. He's got to catch on all that stuff. I think he's
put on some facial hair since that photo right there.
I think he can compete for a starting job. I don't know that he will. The fact that Ernest Green didn't really get to practice all year, I think is probably something that's going to help him out. I wonder if they're going to look at Xavier Truss or Micah Morris, maybe at a right tackle and Amarius Mims at left tackle. That they're going to look at some different combinations because I feel like they know that they can get Amarius Mims ready to play right tackle, and they're probably pretty confident they can get him to play left tackle as well. But you're going to see some different looks, and I'm with Roos. I think that Monroe Freeling has an excellent chance to live the Amarius Mims lifestyle this year.
Absolutely.
And I think Georgia's kind of gotten itself into a groove where they're training a tackle to replace a tackle because they're probably going to lose Amarius Mims after the 2023 season, not to the transfer portal, but to a bag in the NFL. So,
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, overall, though, I understand people always get sore at rankings time. I mean, it is what it is. People complained about where we had Troy Bowles on 3. Damon Wilson takes a slide from 4 to 22. At the end of the day, the way I look at it, you got 4 5-stars. There's only one team in the nation that has one more than that. And you've got a chance for the 5th one in February if Deuce Robinson comes. So, yeah, sure, you don't want to see your guys fall, but you have a clear number 2 best class in the nation and a chance at another 5-star as well.
And we're 2 weeks away, by the way, from that. I mean, that seems like it's like a couple months from now, but it's only a couple weeks. So,
Craig, I'm going to go back and watch that replay of the AEW. I can assure you, I'm a big AEW guy.
All right, fellas, what do you say we chop some wood? It is a chopping wood Wednesday after all. I'm going to chop some wood and going to bore you with the details of my vacation for a moment, but it's all relevant, I promise. So we were at Disney World this past weekend for a few days, and I believe I didn't count a hard count or anything. I think I saw more Georgia hoodies, hats, sunglasses, everything but car flags on human beings at Disney World than any other college football fan base. I was kind of people watching just to see, who was out there, who was out and about. You kind of do the same thing if you're fortunate enough to go to the Masters. You see a lot of college logos out there, and Disney World and Augusta are kind of similar, just for different reasons. One is kind of a Disney World for adults, and one is really, really freaking expensive. But I just want to give a shout out to all the Georgia fans that made their way to Disney World and planned their trip for the week after the national championship, because you all had faith in the team and you knew they'd be playing in the big game even after playing in it last year and winning it again. So good on the Dogs in Orlando. Guys?
I'll go next if that's cool. I'm going to chop some wood tonight about the comments that I heard from Ryan Puglisi earlier this week. I encourage people to go check out that article over at DawgsHQ. It is plus as well, but was just really struck with that young man. Had some very insightful things to say about how he spent his weekend in Athens, looking toward the future, but balancing it out with celebration. There's a lot of conjecture out there right now about how Georgia's going to handle the quarterback situation in 2024. Will they make a run at Dylan Raiola? I think that that's incredibly fair to speculate about, and I think the answer is yes. If they feel that they can get Dylan Raiola in this class, then they will. But Ryan Puglisi's hearing those things too, and he came out with a pretty emphatic, I'm locked in and I'm a dog moving forward. I can't wait to get there next winter. I think that that's really telling of this young man. Now, will it all hold together if things go as people hope that they do with Raiola possibly coming? We're a long way from that, and I'm not really ready to project anything like that yet. But you've got a great one in Ryan Puglisi from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, from a game standpoint. Either way it pans out, I'll be rooting for Ryan Puglisi moving forward. It seems like a great kid and saying all the right things, I think, to get Georgia fans excited in the class of 2024.
I'll go next. And Wes gave me a great idea of what I should chop wood about. I'm chopping wood about the hardwood, the Hoop Hounds, Georgia basketball. Almost
You're looking count on you, Palmer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is how I spent my last night, was watching the game, Georgia, Kentucky up at Rupp Arena. Watched it from home, didn't get to make the trip to Lexington. Saw somebody in the comments section saying, hey, that's one of the best trips in the SEC. Jake and I made it for the football game this year. That was very fun. Can attest to Lexington being great. The outcome for Georgia, not so great there. Dogs led for majority of the game, but end up falling. Oscar Tshiebwe, reigning National Player of the Year, had a career high number of points. 37 points for him, season high 24 rebounds. He took over in the second half. Matt Jones from our Kentucky site, KSR, put out that no college basketball player has had at least 37 points and 24 rebounds since 2011. So that is the kind of performance Georgia was going up against last night. But the Dogs are playing pretty well so far in the season. 3-2 in the SEC, 13-5 overall. A really, really good chance to get to 4-2 in the SEC on Saturday, 1:00 at Stegman Coliseum against Vanderbilt. They won on the road last week, shook that bug. They hadn't won on the road and didn't win on the road at all last year. Hadn't won on the road since February of 2021. So they are doing things that haven't been done in Athens in at least a couple years. Certainly would be a big one if they're able to win Saturday, because they do have a really tough stretch ahead of them. Some really strong teams in the SEC that are coming up.
Weird to talk basketball, but I'm glad to hear it, man. And
yeah, I watched that Kentucky game last night too, and man, if they had just some semblance of an answer for Tshiebwe, they would have been fine. But they just couldn't.
Two really good guards, not a ton of great big men.
Shout out to Craig Lawson for recognizing that all damn good dogs have suspended white microwaves.
Craig Lawson might be the damn good dog gatekeeper that we've been looking for.
I need to chop wood on what it's like to install one of those microwaves, because I did it by myself one time, and it's the proudest moment of adulthood for me. Better than the day my kids were born. I loved them, but I was proud. I wasn't proud of myself those days. I was proud of myself the day that I did that. And I was very excited about doing that by myself. All right, I'm going to chop wood on Georgia coaches and Georgia coaches. Just the effort in general since the national championship game ended. 100 coaches in one day, 10 staffers, 10 coaches. Will Muschamp's been off the road a little bit. Mike Bobo's got a waiver to get on. Chidera Uzo Deribe has been kind of dealing with some new kids. They've gotten guys out on the road. I mean, this has been pretty incredible, just to watch Georgia. And listen, I know part of it I know part of it is, especially this week. I don't know where they've all been, but I'm sure those guys were probably, really wanting to get back to work and just kind of have something else to kind of be on their hearts and minds and to see some smiling faces and to uplift some spirits there. But there's no rest for the weary in Athens, and there doesn't appear to be very many weary at all after this past season. I know Georgia. We did the Sammy Brown thing. We talked about the 100 coaches. I know Georgia's going to be down in Wilcox tomorrow. Kirby's going to be in Rochelle, Georgia. He was down in Charlton County yesterday to see Ellis Williams. Is that how you say his name? Ellis?
I think so.
Elias. I don't really know.
Guys,
they're all over the place.
Doesn't matter, just sign him.
They're all over the place. They're trying to build this roster continuously. And hey, if you're worried about how much longer you're going to have your coach, this dude seems to only know one speed. And Kirby Smart's getting after it. The rest of the coaching staff's getting after it. And that's really big news for all of us because Georgia got a couple of big commitments. We talked about them, I think, at the end of the last show for the 2025 class. A couple big linemen. They're looking good for some 2024 guys, quite a few 2024 guys, and obviously the big name is Dylan Raiola. And I'm interested to see how that one plays out because just kind of got a gut feeling Georgia's going to really be the team to beat there.
All right, guys. You mentioned that suspended white microwave, and I think you have to chop some actual wood to make that happen. So that's very on brand for the show. We got some questions about Cedric Van Pran's NFL decision, and I don't know what we've heard about that. Obviously, the accident with Willock and LaCroix has an impact on his decision, and that's the one that people want to hear about. But I don't know, Jake, if you've heard any updates on that.
I haven't.
How
I think
might have impacted his timeline.
I think it's just on the maybe for the short term, at the very least, it's just on the back burner. I haven't really heard a whole lot just in terms of how he's thinking. I think going into Celebration Saturday, it was kind of a 50-50 thing. I think Palmer reported that on the Celebration Saturday that it was a 50-50 thing. So we'll see. I think he's probably got a little bit longer to make that decision. Some hardship stuff there, and I'm sure there'll be some understanding. But we'll have it covered for you when we do know something. We were on top of the Ladd stuff yesterday. We'll be on top of Cedric Van Pran as well.
Yep, a lot to keep you updated on there. And as I think it's circulated, was it Oscar Delp's mom that shared a GoFundMe link? Have we confirmed that that's accurate?
She shared a link to the Facebook page.
UGA shared some information about GoFundMe.
Yeah, then Georgia shared some information. We've got a thread up on our board. I mean, obviously our board's plus, so it's kind of tough to see, but there are GoFundMes out there, and I don't think they're very hard to find. We don't want to steer anyone into any kind of fraudulent activity or the last time
I
looked, the Willock family, the Willock one was very close to meeting its goal, and I knew that they had Chandler LaCroix's service, I believe, today.
Yeah, I'd read that some football players assisted with being pallbearers for that. And just, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about it. It was surreal to see that while I was out, and you guys did a great job of covering it very tastefully. And it's unprecedented stuff, man. It's not anything we ever want to have to talk about or cover. But
I've gotten a lot of calls over the years, first thing in the morning, and been told it's going to be a rough day, for various reasons. A kid was going to decommit, or so-and-so was getting suspended, or something weird had gone on. Never, heard it, didn't faze me, got that call. And then it started getting explained to me. And I was like, this, it's just, I still feel the same way now as I did then. And it sucks. But I do know that Bulldog Nation, outside of a few just of the worst apples that have ever lived, has just outpouring of love and support. It's been pretty cool. And to see this, community kind of come together and I think that needs to be remembered and going forward.
No question.
No doubt. Well said,
Well
Jake.
said.
Appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. Thank you for your comments, whether you're on the same side of the fence as us on certain topics or not. This is always going to be a space for y'all to give us your best shot. We always appreciate it. It's always fun, always spirited, always lively. We don't make it personal. I'm not going to sit up here and call Palmer the Charmin Bear. Y'all can leave that out. Okay, leave that on the message board.
He doesn't look like him, but that's his spirit. That's it. He's got the spirit of the Charmin Bear.
It was an armadillo.
It was an armadillo.
Best drop in the show's ever had. Y'all hit subscribe, hit like, and take advantage of that promo over at DawgsHQ.com. Premium membership, $39. Is that right, Jake Rowe?
$29.99.
$29. Look, I'm trying to
Wes is trying to skip $10 off the
29.
top. Wes is trying to go to Cherokee.
Yeah. I tell you, man, I'll hit the road right now. $29. Jump on it. We'll have a link to that in the episode description too. Thank y'all for joining us, whether you're listening on a podcast or watching us live or watching a replay. We're very grateful. Catch you next time. Y'all have a great weekend. Peace.